You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 9th day of June, 2026. Thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. That one's reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. This broadcast, on the other hand, is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link at 12 noon Eastern. All you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy. So you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 3,000 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But if you're new, it is a good resource to have at your fingertips because it allows you to see how we've evolved over all these years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. And while you're there, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell. This way, anytime we go live outside of our normal broadcast schedule, you'll be notified. youtube.com/CFRN. Yesterday, we had some issues. I did some things after the broadcast yesterday, which hopefully fixed it. I mean, we had some issues on Friday, and then we had some issues yesterday. So, I don't know. We're just going to do our best to get through today's broadcast as normal, and we'll see what happens. On the left side of the screen is the schedule for each afternoon broadcast. At the top of the hour, roughly 1 p.m. Eastern, Michael will join us for a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room, and then do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. Right now, we'll start where we do each and every afternoon with our daily devotional. And the topic that we're on is everyday faith. Today's scripture is Mark 1, verse 45. I'll share it with you from the NIV translation. Instead, he went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed outside in lonely places. Yet the people still came to him from everywhere. Again, that's Mark 1, verse 45. The leper had lived outside the camp, untouchable and isolated, defined by what was wrong with him. Then Jesus touched him and made him clean. The text says Jesus told him to be quiet, yet the man could not remain silent. This was not strategy or rebellion. It was overflow. Something had happened to him that refused containment. I mean, leprosy, that's about as bad as it gets. And he had been healed. He had no outline, no training, no refined language. He just spoke about what had happened. He said, I was unclean. Now I am restored. He didn't argue any doctrine. He simply bore witness to the change. We often complicate witness because we assume it requires mastery. The leper had something stronger than mastery. He had transformation. The issue is not whether you know enough. The issue is whether you remember clearly what Christ has done. Has he lifted shame from you? Has he restored dignity? Has he forgiven what once defined you? If so, why has that memory grown quiet? Silence is often less about ignorance and more about familiarity. When mercy becomes routine, gratitude weakens. When gratitude weakens, courage follows. You do not need a platform. You need remembrance. If Christ has altered you, silence will not remain comfortable forever. And that's the plan. So ask yourself this. Where has gratitude faded into routine in your life? Give that some thought. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Our simple prayer today is that you would renew our gratitude. Do not let mercy become ordinary to us. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Tuesday. And I'm not basing that on the charts. Because, well, I guess this is your turnaround Tuesday. Is that what they call it? In other words, market's getting hammered. So let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Let me bring in some fresh data. Yep, the Dow down 308 points. The NASDAQ down 663. That's over 2.5%. S&P 500 is down 114, over 1.5%. And the Russell 2000, our man in the street, down 17 points. Certainly all four of the major indices are deeply in the red. In the commodity basket, crude oil also in the red, surprisingly. Down $4.69, trading 86.61 last. That's a drop of over 5%. Gold down $65.40, trading 43.01 last. That's a drop of almost 1.5%. Silver down $3.04, trading 65.56 last. That's a drop of almost 4.5%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 1,392 points, almost 2.25%. The Shanghai rose 50, over 1.25%, and the Hang Seng fell 91. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 145, 1.5%. The DAX down 198, almost 1%. But the CAC up 4 points. That gave us a mixed day in Asia. It was a mixed day for the UK. But it's definitely a big red radio Tuesday here in the US of A. Let's take a look at the news. As SpaceX's June 12th initial public offering approaches, the company has been securing some very lucrative AI compute deals. But the timing and terms of those deals are adding concern. Last week, SpaceX and Alphabet's Google will pay $920 million per month to rent, not buy, but to rent, 110,000 NVIDIA GPUs, CPUs, and memory, as well as related components, from October 2026 through June of 2029, with computing capacity beginning to ramp up in September of this year. The filing comes after SpaceX agreed to rent GPU capacity at its Colossus One data center to Anthropic for $1.25 billion a month. Musk previously folded his xAI operation into SpaceX, creating a new subdivision called SpaceX AI that oversees AI efforts like the Grok chatbot and its data centers such as Colossus. Though these are 3-year compute deals or thereabouts, each includes a 90-day cancellation window, and Musk suggested the Anthropic deal would be even shorter in duration. In a filing last month, SpaceX revealed the lion's shares of its losses stemmed from its AI division, with costs accelerating in the first quarter. Signing these deals boosts revenue at a time when SpaceX is looking to justify its very rich valuation. And speaking of its very rich valuation, don't forget the brutal lesson from Facebook's IPO. We've been talking about it now for months. The excitement is building around the SpaceX IPO, which is set to debut on the NASDAQ this Friday. But before you lose your mind trying to buy SpaceX stock on its opening day, keep in mind what happened when Mark Zuckerberg brought Facebook to the public markets. The quick insight: after an IPO on May 18th of 2012, wow, it's been that long, Facebook, now called Meta, fell 54% from peak to trough and finished its first year down 32%. Over that same period of time, the S&P 500 was up over 10%. The main issue for Facebook was valuation, given its business model. Facebook was priced for perfection at a moment when its core advertising business model was largely unproven, and Wall Street simply got ahead of the fundamentals. Truist Chief Investment Officer Keith Lerner studied 30 of the last major IPOs, which showed forward returns skew negative at the 6 and 12-month horizons. The majority face substantial drawdowns in the first year. Now, that doesn't mean this is going to happen to SpaceX, but it's something you certainly want to be aware of. The average 6 and 12-month returns for 30 of the last major IPOs both show a decline of 9%. The biggest 12-month declines include Lyft at 65%, Coinbase at 55%, Robinhood at 74%, and Rivian at 67%. Lerner said the projected size and retail participation are likely to drive significant volatility alongside excitement around the SpaceX IPO. So I guess the takeaway here is, if you want to own it, then just be prepared for what may happen. If you want to own it, then that means you're going to own it. Okay? You're not renting it. You're owning it. Come what may. The bottom line, SpaceX is poised to be the largest initial public offering on record. Current expectations are for the company to raise $75 billion at a $1.75 trillion valuation. According to the prospectus, revenue last year skyrocketed 33% year over year to $18.7 billion, fueled by a 32% surge in Starlink satellite internet sales. Starlink is a proven business that's likely to stay strong well into the future. But SpaceX did post a massive $4.9 billion GAAP net loss for full year 2025 and a brutal $4.28 billion net loss in the first quarter of this year. The primary culprit for the losses is Musk's capital-intensive pivot into artificial intelligence infrastructure, with SpaceX throwing $40 billion annually into AI capital expenditures. It's unlikely the business will turn a profit for the foreseeable future. At the end of the day, investors would be buying a speculative, future-forward ecosystem priced at an exorbitant 100 times trailing sales. The SpaceX IPO won't be for the faint of heart. Even for the brave investors, the near-term trajectory for the stock may not take off like a rocket. Yep, I actually said that. We had one piece of econ news this morning. Home sales ticked up in May. The latest sign that buyers and sellers are staying active in the market despite higher mortgage rates and glum economic sentiment. Existing home sales in May jumped 3.2% from a year ago to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 4.17 million, according to the National Association of Realtors. That data was released this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. On a month-over-month basis, home sales were up 3.2%. And if you didn't know, South Korea has got a red-hot stock market. South Korea's main stock index, the Kospi, is having a turbulent start to the week. The index fell more than 8% yesterday, and then rebounded 8% today, erasing all the losses. The Kospi has gained more than 180% in the past 12 months as AI investors pour into the company. South Korea's red-hot stock market index is experiencing a volatile start to the week, dropping 8% Monday, gaining 8% today. Now, South Korea's stock market is dominated by two tech giants. And we talked the other day about the S&P 500. Over 50% of its value right now is spread over, I think it was 41 individual stocks. South Korea, it's even worse. Their market is dominated by two, Samsung and SK Hynix, which have both passed market capitalizations of more than $1 trillion in recent weeks. The two firms account for half of the index's total market capitalization, meaning that when they see big share price movements, the Kospi is also, or the Kospi, that's the name of the index, is also likely to move sharply. On Monday, SK Hynix lost more than 10% of its value, while Samsung dropped around 8%. And then today, Hynix came roaring back with a 15% gain, and Samsung rose 9%. So, all of these indexes, the whole purpose of an index is that you're spreading your risk. Well, with the S&P, you're spreading your risk over 500 companies. With the Russell, 2,000 small cap companies. With Dow, 30 blue chip companies. So while the indexes are created to spread the risk, I don't know that we've seen a time in history, I don't believe we have, where so much of the value of these indexes were concentrated on so few companies. There was a new company added yesterday to the S&P. I was going to talk about it yesterday, and then we had computer issues, so I'm trying to, maybe I'll remember in a minute who it was. Vice President Vance said he has referred new fraud allegations against Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to the Justice Department for a criminal investigation. A report of the House Oversight Committee released Monday alleges Walz and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison were aware of widespread taxpayer fraud in federally funded social programs for years, but did not attempt to stop it. Why would they do that? Minnesota state officials are not above the law, and if they facilitated fraud, lied under oath about what they knew, or harassed and intimidated whistleblowers, they must face justice. That from Vice President J.D. Vance. You know, when the president gives Vance a job, he goes to work, he gets the job done, unlike that lady that was given the job of border czar and never really even bothered to go there. What was her comment? I've never been to Paris either. Yeah, well, you're not the Paris czar. Anyway, Vance has said he's not going to run for president. I'm wondering what his plans really are. Anyway, he's currently heading up, along with all of his other jobs, he's heading up the White House's anti-fraud task force. He wrote a letter to Assistant Attorney General Colin McDonald, who leads the agency's fraud enforcement division, asking him to respond to the report with all appropriate urgency. It is imperative that the National Fraud Enforcement Division, in partnership with the appropriate investigative agencies and U.S. attorneys' offices, open investigations to uncover the truth and bring any and all wrongdoers to justice, he said. The House Oversight Committee interviewed 9 current and former Minnesota state officials for its 200-page report, which has a very interesting title, The Cost of Doing Nothing: How Tim Walz and Keith Ellison Fueled Minnesota's Fraud Explosion. The report included testimony and documents showing that state officials continued payments in social services programs to what turned out to be fraudsters. It detailed how failures to prevent fraud resulted in an estimated $300 million in federal child nutrition funds and potentially $9 billion in Medicaid-related funds being lost or placed at serious risk. Despite warning signs of fraud, the state made the payments because of concerns about accusations of discrimination and used private investigators to look into whistleblowers, according to the report. They didn't want to be called racist. They didn't want to be called xenophobes. So they allowed the fraud to just continue. Both Walz and Ellison appeared to have known about the fraud problems as early as 2019, according to the report. They both testified to the committee in March about the fraud scandal and defended the payments, saying they did not know about the fraud at the time of the payments. Well, we'll see. Lying to Congress can get you in trouble. And speaking of fraud, how about California? How about this so-called election? This is like some kind of third world country. California, home of, big tech. It takes them a month to count all the votes. It's just ripe for fraud. Republican Senator Rick Scott, angered by Los Angeles's late arriving mayoral election results that locked Spencer Pratt out of the city's runoff election, is arguing the Save America Act would strengthen Americans' faith in their elections. The bill would require photo identification and proof of citizenship in federal elections and require local governments to regularly purge their voter rolls. They've been trying to get at the California voter rolls for some time so that they can go through them and see who's still alive and who's not, who's a citizen, who isn't. California won't hand them over. I don't understand why the Supreme Court doesn't step in and intervene. We talked a lot lately about, does anybody know who's running Iran? Now, I have tremendous respect for our president, and I think he's done an incredible job. But the events of the last few weeks, it's longer than that. And I don't mean just concerns with the president's inaction in Iran. And you know what? Maybe it's going to all become crystal clear here very shortly what he was up to, that he had a plan all along, and that he was just carrying out the plan and he had to keep it quiet. I don't know. I still have faith in him. Okay? I really, really do. But I'm speaking about more than the president. Some of these rulings that have come out of the Supreme Court. I mean, America had finally found a way to get out from under our national debt of like $34 trillion. And the Supreme Court says, well, no, you can't do that. What? That's how America became America. Tariffs. I know I've talked about this before, but the income tax, that didn't come in. That was in the early 1900s. That was introduced. Prior to that, America lived and was built. The greatest country in the world was built on tariffs. And President Trump would like to go back to an all-tariff system. No income tax. But the powers that be, the puppet masters at the Fed, they want nothing to do with this. Now, I know we have a man on the inside now with Kevin Warsh, but they're still talking about the fact that he's going to have to probably raise interest rates. Something nobody wants to hear. And of course, if he lowered rates at his first FOMC, then there'd be all kinds of accusations. But I don't know. It's a job I wouldn't want. All right, let's look at the charts. Well, we'll look at Logic 247. I just want to get over here and see how far this thing has dropped. We dropped right through the 24% Fib retracement. Now the current low, as you can see right there, see where the black step line crossed back to the left side of blue and climbing? Okay. Remember, the step line crossed to the right side here. That's when we should have gotten a retracement to the BBC, but we didn't. And then right here, where we cross back over, that creates an important price, important area. So not unusual that we found some support at that price in that area. And if you look at these two candles, so you got a wick sticking up and a wick sticking down. And if you put your crosshair right in the middle of those guys, that's what we're sitting on right now. I mean, this thing fell fast and hard this morning. We got red and falling overhead. Now the next area that I would look for, we've already hit this area. If we can get through this, then the next pretty obvious spot would be the 38% Fib retracement. The fact that we blew through the 24, I mean, it's been a long time since we had a 24% Fib retracement. And we just blow through it. Out of 38, that's a ways. We're talking 71.44. And then there's the 50, which might be a little deep. I'm looking at this area right here, right around 70.90 to 7100. Should be these highs across here and this low right here. So yeah, around 70.90. That's quite a drop. So anyway, we jumped over the logic 247, so let's do that real quick. Okay. Logic 247 is our 24/7 around the clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, but also crude, gold, and silver. Over the last 410 weeks, we've issued over 22,500 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure. A simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Since the markets opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 28 alerts. This morning, Valerie did the recap at 7 a.m. Eastern. She'll update it this afternoon as she does every day. But at the time she did the recap, we were still waiting on the outcome of 16 out of the 28. So that gave us 12 actionable alerts, one stop out. So we're currently sitting at 8%. I think last week we finished up at 12%. But again, over the last 7.5+ years, 410 weeks, what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less. The purpose of the logic alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart, to understand what the chart's telling you, where to anticipate potential resistance, where to anticipate potential support. Once you learn that, then you're able to see the windows of opportunity that lie between those important points. And that's where you find your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities. Every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, then an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, and in most cases additional targets, and then a final trade to target. Of course, you can trade them because they're published in most cases hours before they trigger. But quite often they will trigger around the London session, or they'll trigger for the first time. Once an alert triggers, there's a high probability it's going to trigger again, and maybe again, and maybe again. But on the recap, we just record whatever happens the first time it's triggered. Way back in the beginning of Logic 247, we tried to recap, the multi, and it's just too confusing. So it's whatever happens on the first one. If it gets stopped out, it gets stopped out. Even on the ones that get stopped out, if you watch the chart, you'll see that they'll come back, they'll trigger again, and the second time, or maybe the third time, and the fourth time, they run right to the targets. It's all based on market structure. And again, that's the purpose of the logic alerts, is to help you understand what market structure is and how price behaves inside that structure. Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. We have traders around the globe, and futures trade around the clock. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. But long before we had Logic 247, we had our original alert service. We concierge trade alerts. And they're different. And when I find them, I'll show them to you. Here we go. Now, the concierge trade alerts are completely different from the Logic 247 alerts. They're different in a lot of different ways. Like you don't see any entry prices, initial targets, additional targets, right? You got a long and a short target. But the main thing I want to say is that they don't come out around the clock. They're published as a static report, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open each evening. So what that means is all of our traders had all of these targets 5 minutes before the market opened last night. The Tuesday session we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So let's look at the charts. And we'll go through all the individual markets. And as we do, you'll see those targets that you were just looking at drawn out on the chart. Just keep in mind that our members had that 5 minutes ahead of the open. So now we've sort of passed through that area that I highlighted earlier. We're headed for this next area. Now this low here, call it 7,200. Possible support there. That's based off that low right there. And looks like we're pretty much, I mean, if we take out that right there, if we take that out, and we're definitely headed for the 38. Now you can see how the 38 built a little shelf here long before it was the 38. Remember, we just had a new all-time historic high back here. Was it June 1st? I believe it was. And it's not going to pop up, is it? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, all of the alerts are created on the, oh, there it goes. Now it pops up on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just a time frame I chose years ago. They say if it's not broke, leave it alone. The vertical line right here separates today, Tuesday. Here's Monday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. We publish the weekly trading zones for our members every Monday since December 14th of 2009. Over 16 years. Now, the idea, now you don't see it so well on this particular, well, you do to a degree if you know what you're looking at. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. When price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. Now, this was the Sunday night open. It's the first time in a while we didn't have any gaps of any magnitude. Yesterday's high aligned with this area right here from Friday. See that little shelf across there? That's an area that you would be anticipating resistance. Why? Well, because the market was falling, and you had a green candle, but by the time the 30-minute candle closed, it had gotten slapped back down, and then we know what happened after that. So that makes that point, that area, that price right there important. So that's where we ran into resistance right here last night or yesterday. So we had a leg and a retracement. We dropped off the open, and the low off the open is this area right across here. It's where the market found support yesterday. So initially things were looking pretty good. Red and falling turned to blue and climbing. That got us back above the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. It's called the BBC. It just stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. Now, no matter what you trade and how you trade it, price always reverts to the mean. We call it a pullback to the BBC. And the pullback holds more often than it doesn't, but eventually it will trade through. When price encounters a weekly trading zone, only one of three things happens. 70% of the time it's consolidation, 20% of the time rejection, and 10% of the time the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. Now, we sliced through this zone and then we pulled back up above the zone. The zone's 7290/91. That's not how a slice typically behaves, but it ultimately did continue in the direction of the slice. And that is a key component of how price behaves when there is a slice. So three things: consolidation, rejection, the slice. 70%, 20%, 10%. Now we're sitting at 7290. That means we've only got two more zones below us. One at 7210, and then the lowest zone for the week is down at 6870. There it is, 6870. Wow. There's got to be a ton of volume happening. What do we got for volume today? 1.5 million so far, and we still got a lot to go. What do we do? Okay, yesterday, I'm not going to get my pop-up. Oh, there it comes. Show yourself. Get it. All right, 1.7 million yesterday. I think we're going to take that out today and back on Friday. We cracked 2 million. 2.24. It's kind of like the old days. ES used to trade 2 to 3 million contracts every day. But there's a lot more places now for people to put their money, so we don't have the same amount of volume that we used to have. Hold on for me 1 second. Okay, all right, we looked at the ES, still falling. We're a little bit off the low of the session, low of the week. Now 7210, what does that look like on the daily? 72.10. What do we say the low of this candle was? Wait for it, wait for it. 71.99. Nah, it's about a 10-point difference. All right, on the Dow. We only need to really look at Monday and Tuesday. Whatever. So yesterday we found resistance at the zone, and then we opened last night. We hit the CTA short target pretty quick by 8:30. We got above the BBC, and then we got a leg and a retracement, the pullback held, and a leg and a retracement, the pullback held, a leg and a retracement, the pullback held. And then it sent us up to and right through that zone and through the long target. Now the long target was based off this high from yesterday right here. But I didn't expect the market to rally that much. Now, we did not take out yesterday's high. That was the first sign of weakness. Because, I mean, once we hit that short target, market's going to go look for resistance. And so, everything looked pretty good till here. Now, someone in the discussion group mentioned that China was dipping into their strategic reserves, which means that this blockade in the strait is having some effect. Unlike Biden, who sold off our strategic reserves just because he could, I guess. It was part of his Destroy America plan. He did a pretty good job at that. He wasn't a very good president, but as head of the Destroy America team, he was quite a stellar performance. So from the short target up to the long target, back to the short target. And now here we are consolidating at this zone. And we've got 2 more zones below us for the week. So we caught a bounce here. That looks to be short-lived. We just got a bearish cross up here. That's where the red line goes below the green line. Now, when price returns to this area, right there where that cross happened, you should expect that to be good resistance until proven otherwise. On the Russell, boy, those charts look an awful lot alike. Yep. So this is where we opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And we didn't quite make it to the, we made it, we hit the short target fully about during the 8:30 to 9 Eastern 30-minute candle. And then everything was looking good until 10 o'clock this morning. And that's when the housing numbers came out better than expected, which means the chances of us getting an interest rate cut anytime soon are diminishing. Not your father's market. Used to be good news sent the market up, bad news sent the market down. It's gotten a whole lot more complicated than that now. And so there we have price just dropping, heading for this zone at 27.79, but 2 more zones down below. The NQ. This was the open last night. Support at the zone. Support always sends the market looking for resistance. As you can see, red and falling turn to blue and climbing. Red and falling is bearish. Blue and climbing is bullish. And that took us right up to the long target. We spiked the long target. It almost touched the zone. Didn't quite get there. The long target was simply based off yesterday's high. The NQ didn't have a very wide range yesterday. Certainly not in comparison to what we saw Friday or what we're seeing today. So we hit the short target, and then it had started 10. Yeah, down we go, right through the short target. And for the moment, we're finding some support here at the weekly trading zone. And we still got 2 more zones below on the NQ. Keep in mind, today's only Tuesday. Crude oil. Oh, yesterday when my charts went wonky, I had drawn something in. I'll do it again real quick. We had agreed that if, in fact, this was a head, this was a left shoulder, this was a right shoulder. Now, we were doing this yesterday. So we were looking at this area right across here, right about here, as the neckline. And so we had drawn this. Oh, wrong thing. We had drawn this from the top of the head down to the neckline, which is about right there. And then we said if that neckline was broken, which it was last night, crude, based on the head and shoulders theory, would drop an equidistance. Putting crude down around $82, $83. The lowest zone on crude this week's 80.90/80.95. Right there. Now, crude just had a huge pullback. From that right shoulder yesterday, we dropped, we found support, consolidated at the zone, and then last night we dropped to the short target pretty early. Then support at the zone, which bounced us back up to the BBC and the underside of the short target. And then we got another leg down that took us through that zone, 87.40/45. That's the second lowest zone. And then we just had a huge spike. Why? I don't know. But looks like the pullback is going to hold so far. Remember, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. So we'll come back and look at this before the end of the broadcast. Michael should be here in a couple minutes. Here's gold. Yesterday we found support at the zone. Here's where we opened last night, and we almost hit the long target right there, but we didn't quite make it. And that was based off these highs right here yesterday. Short target was based off right here where red turned to blue. We had a leg, a retracement, and a leg that actually took us through the long target. Didn't quite make it up to the zone overhead though. But that was short-lived. When all the selling started at 10 o'clock this morning, I mean, this was right here. This was the 9:30 opening candle. And now look where we are. We got 2 more zones below, just like every other market. This thing's dropping hard. Catching a little bounce here, but it's probably another good entry for a short trade. Something like 42.71. U.S. stocks have lost, hang on, this just popped up on my screen. U.S. stocks lost nearly $2 trillion in market value over the last 2 hours. Wow. $2 trillion in the last 2 hours. That'll leave a mark. Silver. So where we opened last night. Yesterday, we didn't touch the zone above or the zone below. It kind of ran sideways. And we opened last night below the BBC. The pullback held, but we didn't take out this low. So that was a sign of strength that got us back above the BBC. And this area right here where red turned to blue yesterday, that was this high. I had based the long target off this high back here from Friday. We almost got there, but not quite. And then along with all the other markets, 10 o'clock this morning, man, bottom fell out. Now the black step line is starting to lean to the right. So as it crosses red and falling, if it crosses red and falling, we should see a retracement back to the BBC. Keep in mind the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. So if we do get the pullback to the BBC, it just may simply be another opportunity to short it. Maybe back down to the zone, maybe back to the low of the day. On the daily chart, we are off the low of the session. Hello, Michael.
How you doing?
Market has lost $2 trillion in value in the last 2 hours.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Those wheels just came right off. Wow.
$2 trillion in 2 hours.
Eating stuff.
Yep. All right, well, we're ready if you are.
Okay. Let's bring it all the way over here to North Carolina. Here we are. Here we are.
And it looks good.
All right. Let me undo that. Oops, I need to undo that. Let's undo that. There we go. And minimize this so I can get to my DOMs when I'm ready. Here we go. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 9th day of June, 2026. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, then just go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for this trial. Just click on that purple button, and when you do, it will bring you to, well, it'll bring you to this page, where all the way asks for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down at the very bottom gives you TradingView login ID. Hit the register button. Once you hit that register button, you will be sent oops, hang on. I just sent a message. You will be sent everything you need to get into the room in the morning to get your indicators indicating. All right, everything you need to get into the room and get your indicators indicating. Now, we had a pretty good day today. I mean, it all started off really bullish. Everything was going up, and then it looks like it was going to go up, and then the wheels fell off. And they started coming off slowly at first, and then they started coming off quickly, and then they were all the way off. At the end of the session when the European markets closed, that's what I was saying this morning. I said, we don't know what's going to happen when the European markets close. They could be holding this thing up. And it looks like they were trying to. As it is. Let's just go through what we had. On the NQ, we're up 117 ticks. On the Russell, we're up 22. On the YM, 38. And on the ES, 23. That puts us up $1,172 on the morning session. Today it took 2 minutes and 2 trades to get to $125 with 1 contract at $12.50 with 10. We took 28 trades with 3 stop outs, so we were at 89.29% break even or better this morning. We did have some break even trades too. Even on the NQ, we had a break even trade this morning. So on the month now we're at $7,225. So 7 trading days, averaging $1,032 per day. On the year we're at $101,845 over 96 days, averaging $1,060 per day. Now, if you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day, and you were to, sorry, I'm trying to scroll down over there. If you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and you're at 1 contract per month, so far this year you would have had to work 14.7 hours, just a little more than yesterday. And if you did everything exactly like I did, you would be up to 6 contracts right now, 1 per month. And if you had all the same slippage and everything else, you'd be at $47,192. That is an average of $3,210 per hour. So it's $47,000 for 14 hours of work. Pretty good money if you can get it. Remember when I was in computer science school back in the early 90s, and my professor was talking about this one guy that he knew. He was hired by NASA, and is like a computer science expert for what they had with computer science back then. And he was making $2,500 an hour. That seemed like an unattainable thing, just pie in the sky. And here we are, making $3,210 an hour. That's not even the best we've done. Anyway, that's all that stuff. Let's get into the actual trades. We'll start out with the Russell. Hit control and back. Of course, that was 1990 money, or 1993, I think. But still, it's a lot of money anytime. All right, so we started. Look at all the green we had here at the beginning. Now, this is the Russell. We didn't actually trade the Russell for quite a while this morning. We went with no trade on the Russell for the first hour. Then finally we got our first trade and we had 17 ticks on that. And then we got our next trade and we had 5 ticks on that. That was it for the Russell. We had 2 trades this morning. See the wheels just here. Came off and they just kept rolling. And now this pullback right here is really going to be of no consequence, I think. I know on one of these charts, I drew a line on it saying we've had a 50% retracement of the entire day, and this is either going to act as support or it's going to fail, and it's going to give us another leg length down of the entire day. And I think it gave us 2 leg lengths down of the entire day at that point. But what it looks like right now, we don't have a trade here right now, and it is at a point here where it could turn down because it's like right here. It's met this area of resistance right here a couple of times and failed. So we just traded what's in front of us. That's all we should do. Now the YM, we were down on the YM pretty good at one point. Our first 2 trades on the YM were stop outs. We hit control and back because there's a lot of bars today. Our first 2 trades on the YM today, were stop outs, I think, right? Yeah, they were, both of them. And we'll just do this. Here they are. They're in opposite directions though. So we stopped out on that one, minus 25, and we stopped out on that one, minus 25. So we're at minus 50 at that point. Then finally, we got 5 ticks there to get us to minus 45. Then we got 25 ticks there to get us to minus 20. Then we went to 10 ticks there to minus 10. And then somewhere in here, we had from minus 10, we went to plus 18 on that one. So we had a 28 tick trade right there. And then we followed up with the 10 tick trade. Now this one, it didn't actually hit the midpoint on the down close. I think that's why it's got that color arrow on it. They had a 10 tick trade there to get us to 38. And that was it on the YM. The way it just fell apart. It went for so long here with no pullback all the way up here to the overbought. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attempts before it finally made it all the way back. There was some momentum there when going into the European close. Bang. Then it went sideways for a while, and then it failed again right here an hour later. Sideways for a while, and then here we are. Now, the one thing that I found in the news was that a U.S. helicopter was shot down, and they're blaming it on Iran. I don't know if that's what's causing this whole mess, but we're just going to trade what's in front of us. All right, it doesn't matter if it's going up or down for us, whether you're trading futures or options, it doesn't matter. Making money either way. Scrolling. Here we go. Okay, so on the ES, right here, very first trade on the ES, we picked up 6 ticks. Then we got 4 ticks that got us to 10. Then we got 2 ticks that got us to 12. Then we got 2 more that got us to 14. And then we stopped out. That put us back down to 10. I'm sorry, that put us down to 4. The ES 6, 12, 14. Then we stopped out. That brought us down to 4. This is a blue one because I had the order on, and then it went up and came back down really fast. It went from 4 to 6 on that. We got 2 ticks profit on it because I didn't have time to take the order off because it happened so quick. We went to 6 on that, and then we went from 6 back to 14, so we had 8 ticks on that one. And then the next one, we had a break even. And look at all those bars in there. Then we went from 14 to 22. So that was an 8 tick, and then went from 22 to 23. So it was a 1 tick. And that is where we ended up for the ES today. Now, if we look at the ES during the break, is that a trade? No. Is that a trade? Yes, that was a trade. That was a trade. That was a trade. Then it flipped directions, and that was a trade. Flipped directions again. That was a trade. That would have been the first stop out right there. That was a trade. Well, I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a whole bunch of them. Yeah, and you got to 12 o'clock yet. It's just about to trade right now. It needs an up close of this bar right now. Close of this bar. I'm trying to make this go down. There it is. And it already had the up close of that bar. All right. Well, I couldn't find my DOM in time. So I ended up missing that one. But on the ES, we ended up with plus 23 ticks today. All right. And the NQ, our biggest trade, was our very last trade this morning. I'm going to hit control and back on this because it's got a ton of bars as well. And I'm going to see how this goes. Wow, that is a ton of bars. This is all still today. Imagine if I tried to scroll back all those bars. Just scrolling. It's taking me out of my session just to scroll back on the NQ. Our first trade on the NQ was a 10. And I don't think we had any stop outs on it. We didn't. Went from 10 to 17. Remember that is there, 17, and 17 to 27, then 27 to 37, then 37 to 49, then 49 to 57, and a break even, and then 57 to 67, somewhere right there. Now that is that color because it didn't come out of the oversold right there. It went into the oversold and come out of it. We went to 67 on that one, and then finally we got our big trade. That was our big trade. We got all 50 on that, from 67 up to 117. And that was it. Oh, I guess we had one more here that I didn't add in. Huh. Maybe that was the one that went all the way. No, it wasn't. All right, so there's more than I actually showed. So here we are right now, and we're in the oversold. We just came out of the oversold, so there's no trade here on the NQ. And if you were to look at this in the bigger picture, scratch up like this is what I mean. Now, earlier today, I know I drew this somewhere. All right, so this is all today. Oh, there it is right there. Ah, I knew I drew it somewhere. I said, when we get up to this level, if we get up to that level, it's either going to act as support or resistance. If it acts as support, we're going to get up above it, and it'll continue up to the high of the day. If it acts as resistance, and this is what I think I said this morning, then we should have this whole leg down, is what I was saying. That was the leg there that I was talking about this morning. This one right here, down. And so that happened more than once. See, that same leg length happened again and again and again, and now it's going the other way. You see that? The market has a memory. All right, so it's setting up for a short right now on the NQ. A down close on the NQ right now would be a short. All right, now it's too far away, I think. Oops, I still have the order on anyway, and it's bumping to plus 10. It almost gave me all 50. It just took me out with 10. Now let me go see. See if it did actually give me 10. It gave me a little bit more than 10. It gave me 11. It's like right, 34 down to 31 would be 12. 31, 25 would be 11. Yeah, that's what it did. I'll show you. And this is it. There, down to there. Okay, and the other markets have not given a trade yet. That's where we stand. So let me one more time. Let's one more time. Who's going to go here? If you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com. Mytradingiq.com. No credit card required. Click on that. It's going to bring you to the registration page. Just fill out the form. Right, just fill out that form, and you will be able to take the trial with us. We get your indicators indicating on your desktop, so you can get started with the trial. Now, and what we see right here, it looks like this is a little bit bullish, and things are looking to go up. Now, let's just wait and see. We'll see what those other things are here. Moved out here, SOXS. And IBIT. Back it down to 10. We got all the way down to 34.40. It's actually made a comeback. So I'm glad we got out of that when we did. Just looking for 100%. Come out here, click on that and that. This. This. 550 calls are now at 116. So in the session this morning, we were looking at these. and they were 47 cents. So they've had a nice run today. That actually was a trade right there. Sorry, that was nothing there, nothing there. You still in those, Gordon? Here's the NQ again. It just gave me 10 more ticks. I think it gave me 10. I'll have to go see. Yes, just 10. Got 175%. Sweet. Back when 25 is not a lot of money, right? That was before Al Gore invented the internet. There's another one there on the NQ. Just gave me another 10 ticks. I missed that one. I missed that one too. That was the one that I got. I got that one, and I have 3 of them so far. I'm at 31 ticks on the NQ. And it's worth noting when the ES up close right there, that's trade. +4, or break even. I tried for +8, but I probably didn't get +8. I tried for +8, but it was probably something significantly less than +8. There you go. What was that, the ES, right? Let me see what I actually got on it. Yeah. I got 6 is what I got. Show that to you. Here is it. Here it is. There it is. All right. So the YM on and up close will be a trade. The NQ is nothing. The ES is nothing. And the YM still be a trade on and up close. Now it's going to go to 83, so it'd have a high of 03. So we'd be buying. Go to 83, and that is at 600. So if this does not go below 80, then we still have a trade. Okay, but if it drops down below 80 right now, then we have no trade. And it just didn't cancel. All right, so we flip back to bearish on the NQ and the ES. And we're almost there on the NQ. We're almost there on both of them, actually. We are there on both of them. We need to down close on both of them right now. Okay. DES, if it goes up anymore, it's too far away. They're both too far away. Cancel them all. Cancel them all. Cancel, cancel. They're both too far away. Nothing yet. These should have both flipped to IDR, but they didn't. 1993, how many years ago was that? It's 30 years ago. 33 years ago. We need an up close here on the YM. Up close on the YM. And an up close on the Russell. There it is on the YM. There it is on the YM. It's starting to run. Plus 10. And right of that with 10. And the Russell is there too now. There's the Russell. Let's get up to 0.6 to bump it. It should get up there. I think it's searching with these numbers right here. All right. We're waiting on the Russell here. Sorry. Waiting on the Russell now. Let me go here and see. All right, the Russell went to plus 5. All right, woo. Plus 10. All right, we're all plus 10 now. Let's go back here for a second and see, because I'm pretty sure that I had a Q trade in there. There's the Russell trade. There it is right there. Okay. All right, I'll just go with the Russell trade. We got 10 ticks on the Russell, right? 10 on the Russell. And there was a YM trade in there. Let's see. I already wrote down the 10 ticks we got on that YM trade, right? That was at 1826. Yeah, it was that one right there. Okay. Wow, it's only 28 already. We only have a minute and a half left. Everything's going by so fast on me today. Okay, so this ended up not being anything here. That was nothing there, nothing there, nothing here. So I know it looks like everything's in the green and everything's going up here, but let's look at what it's really doing. This is a big move up off the bottom. We do have higher lows and higher highs. That's a good thing. You got to get up above this level. If we get up above this level, you see it sold off from there pretty hard last time. Above that level, the next one will be right here, and then right here. Now, I don't know why the wheels fell off the bus so bad today. I was thinking we were going to have a big up day today, and then it was going to be followed by a huge down day tomorrow. But the down day is beginning today, it seems like. The way the day was starting out, I was really thinking we're going to have a huge up day today, and then huge down day tomorrow. We'll still have the huge down day tomorrow. We'll see how this recovers today. If you look at this on a bigger time frame, if you look at this on a little bit bigger time frame. Like, let's get on the 30-minute here for a second. I'm sure Dwayne's already done all this, but I'll do it with you too.
You were talking yesterday about, you made a comment about the South Korean markets.
Yes, yeah, they tanked. They hit the circuit breaker yesterday, overnight and Sunday.
They got it all back today.
Yep.
But remember on the S&P 500, I had said that 50% of the value, the current value of the S&P 500, is on the shoulders of like 40-something companies.
Yep.
Out of the 500. Well, it's even worse in South Korea. Over 50% of the value is on 2 companies.
It's on Samsung and Hyundai or something like that.
Samsung and I think it's Hyosync.
Hyosync, okay, yep. I have stuff from both of those companies. And as a matter of fact, I just bought a Samsung dishwasher last week. All right, so this is the daily on the NQ. Now, the midpoint in the daily after this huge run is right here. Now, if it does go all the way up there today, it's going to look like a big comeback on today. This is the 30 minutes. So we started today way up here. And if we do get a 50% retracement today, by the end of the day, that'll look pretty bullish by the end of the day. I hope we do get it because it's going to sell off bad tomorrow, I think, if we do get that. One of the things that probably started the sell-off today was the news that we got, because we got good news, and that's bad for interest rates. And today we got the existing home sales and existing home sales month over month. And we blew it out of the park here, but the existing home sales month over month. Now, this was just a little better, but this was way better. And tomorrow, if these numbers come in better than expected, it doesn't matter how they come in, I don't think. If we get a big push up at the end of the session today, I know we're going over, sorry. But if we get a big push up at the end of the session today up to the midpoint here, I think tomorrow we're going to sell off really hard. We'll see. But let's put this back where it was, and we'll go fill out the thing. We got to fill out the thing. Almost forgot to do that yesterday too. All right, let me add another day on the bottom of the thing. So one row below, and today is day number 107 since we're doing track. 69. Oops, not that. Jammed it all down. 69. And today on the NQ, we picked up 31 ticks. On the Russell, 10. On the YM, 10. And on the ES, 6. Okay, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades, 0 stops, and 16 minutes today. Okay, we'll copy that down to there. Copy that down to there. 3,300 today. I'll make this a 107.
Good job.
Thank you. All right, so with one contract, it's 330. Yesterday, with one contract was 440. The day before that, with one contract was 197. The day before that, with one contract was 255. The day before that, with one was 75. The day before that was 300. We're only trading about 16 minutes in these sessions, so the opportunity is there, guys. The opportunity is there, and I'm not getting every one. I'm not missing too many, but I'm not getting every one either. So in this session, we're averaging about 16 and a half minutes in these sessions of trading, and we're averaging $116 per session in those 16 and a half minutes. So if you don't get it in the morning, come here and you can get a shot at it. If you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com, mytradingiq.com, and click on the purple button. That's going to bring you to the registration page. Just fill out the registration page. Okay, that's all you have to do. Now, those of you guys that have been following all the option stuff and all that, if the end of the day, if we wind up at the end of the day at the 50% retracement that we were talking about just a minute ago, at this 50% retracement right here, I would look for a big sell-off in the morning. However you want to play that, that's what I would look for. All right. And that is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
I am. Okay, recap of the morning session.
Today it took 2 minutes and 2 trades to get to $1,250.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we covered all the markets in granular detail, as we do each and every day. We're sitting right on top of the 24% fib retracement. Now we spiked it real good, right down to this area right here, where the black step line went back to the left side of blue and climbing. This was a head fake here. Black step line crossed blue and climbing. We did not get a retracement to the BBC. And then we went back. And so we spiked that area by just a little bit. Okay. There was a lot of momentum to the downside. Well, that's an area that I've pointed out numerous times where we should expect support. And although we spiked it, ultimately it became support. And now we're sitting on what should really be good support. And that is the 24% fib retracement. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if that holds. I mean, we're well off the low. We've got a pretty wide-ranging day. It's called an outside day. We took out yesterday's high. We took out yesterday's low. Substantially on the downside. So we'll see. To become a member, get a hold of Valerie. You can call her at 949-42 Emini. You can email her support@cfrn.net. Just let her know you're interested in becoming a member. She'll send you an email. It gives you all the information you need to make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not what we do is right for you. As a member, you will get 2 hours of live training every trading day. On top of that, private one-on-one mentoring, no extra charge, you just gotta ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you use as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETF, it doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. It's just how markets work. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts. Every evening, 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. Most days, you'll get the concierge trade alerts. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. And we're on summer schedule for the members only workshop. We'll update you when the next one's going to be. But as a passport holder, you will have access to those. And you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. It's everything a trader needs. All under one roof. One low price. Let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. Don't quit. Keep going. Philippians 3:13. Forgetting the past and straining toward what is ahead, I keep trying to reach the goal and get the prize. Someone said the secret of success is to be like a duck, smooth and unruffled on top and paddling furiously underneath. A well-known 19th century violinist illustrated the truth of this. His most memorable concert was marked by furious paddling under the surface rather than easy success. The concert was performed with a full orchestra before a packed house in Italy. Those who heard him play say his technique was incredible and his tone fantastic. Toward the end of the concert, he was astounding his audience with a very difficult composition when one string on his violin suddenly snapped and hung limply from his instrument. He frowned only briefly, shook his head, and continued to play, improvising beautifully. Then, to everyone's surprise, including his, a second string broke. Shortly thereafter, a third string snapped. It seemed like a slapstick comedy routine as he stood before the awed crowd with 3 strings dangling from his Stradivarius. But instead of leaving the stage to repair his instrument, he stood firm. He calmly completed the difficult number on the one remaining string. A performance that won him applause, admiration, and enduring fame. Here's another saying. It's when the going gets tough that the tough get going. Paul was such a man. Forgetting the past and straining toward what is ahead, I keep trying to reach the goal and get the prize for which God called me through Christ to the life above. Philippians 3:13 through 14. All of us who are spiritually mature should think this way too. So don't quit. Keep going. That's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.